I mean, at least for my program or master in management program, we are looking for more of a holistic person, I would say. I'm not saying that grade is not important. Okay, grade is important. It actually shows your capability, your academic capacity, and how diligently you have actually worked. So it also shows your work ethics. So it is definitely an important measure, but we don't just look at that. Okay, there are a lot of us students who score very well, but still may not be able to get into our program because first, they cannot speak their mind or speak their thoughts.
Hi, Professor Sean. How are you?
Good, good. Hi, Tak. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Today, we have Dr. Sean Shin on our podcast. He is the Academic Director of Masters in Management and CEMS International Management Program at National University of Singapore. He has done his education from Harvard Business School and earned his doctorate from there. And also, his research spans across corporate governance, sustainability reporting, and how investor makes their decision. His research isn't just focusing on academia, but is also showing the real world implication of how business operate and how many future leaders like you listening today will use this thinking. He's also the academic director for my course. So today I'll have to be a little cautious about this. Otherwise, my NUS degree might come to an hold if I make any wrong questions on this
Don't
one.
worry about it.
Thank you, Professor. And thank you again, Professor, for being here on the podcast and being my first guest. Thank you for taking out your time and sharing your wisdom with all of us today.
Well, thank you for the invitation. It's a pleasure for me.
Thank you, Professor. So let's start with the podcast. We'll go through 7 questions today, just daily life questions, and we want to know more about Dr. Sean Chen, how he wants to share his experiences about his past life, how students can use this information when they're approaching their universities. So let's start with the first question, listening about Professor Sean Chen's journey. So, Professor, you are from South Korea,
Yes.
and you've done your education in the States. Can you see any cultural difference and in terms of education over there?
I mean, so I was born and raised in Korea, and I actually went to the States because my dad was stationed there for 2 years as an exchange. Okay, so since he was going to work there for 2 years, the whole family actually went there, and that was when I was in the 11th grade in high school, which means I had to do 2 years of high school and then had to apply for college. So it was a bit of a risky move actually, because all my education has been in Korean, and now I had to go to another country at around like 16, and so it was a quite risky. But then the whole family wanted to be together, and uh, we thought it would be a good experience for me to and for my sister to explore the US. And so we all went there. And then, of course, in the beginning, it was a very much of a struggle. I mean, I didn't have many friends and my English was not as good. So it was a lot of, I had a lot of difficult times. But then also, with the difficult times, I build more resilience. And so I picked up English and I picked up all the courses that I have taken. And so I ended up actually going to a pretty good university at UCLA. And so since then, my journey officially actually began. I feel like, I was starting fresh as a college student. And then I was looking for some subjects that I would be interested in. So I studied economics as well as accounting. And that's kind of when I thought about, okay, why don't I pursue a PhD? And I mean, we can talk about it further later, but how I thought about having a PhD even was not even that serious compared to others in a way, because I thought, okay, if I'm going to live 100 years, why not have that prefix of doctor in front of me? And so, why don't I be called, Dr. Shin instead of a Mr. Shin? And so, okay, let's pursue maybe a doctoral degree. And but then I was not entirely sure, to be honest, because I didn't. Uh, I also thought about actually joining a consulting company or joining a law school instead of a PhD program. But I thought, okay, why don't I actually give it a try and then decide later whether I want to do a PhD or whether I want to be a PhD. And so, I mean, I applied to all the top schools actually. And then I just let the destiny decide whether I'm up for the PhD program or not. And thankfully, I actually got into Harvard for my doctoral degree. So I thankfully decided to join and finish it. But in terms of a cultural difference, I would say there was initially a big cultural gap. I mean, language is a part of culture, so that there is that. And also how I got education was a bit different. Back in Korea, it was more of a lecture based. I would just, listen to whatever the teachers were saying and then take the exams. But in the US, there were a lot more in-class activities, a lot more readings that I had to do actually. Uh, and then a lot of extracurricular activities that I had to do after class. So life was quite different because of all these differences. But of course, with the differences, there are many difficulties, but at the same time, you learn a lot of new things. So I actually enjoyed. I actually am glad that have gone through that difficult moments and going through the differences.
So now moving across the next question. When did you first come across the name of National University of Singapore?
I guess the NUS was already a household name, when I was in PhD program. I mean, NUS has always been one of the leading business schools and leading universities in Asia. So I have known about the quality and of its existence. So when I was actually thinking about applying to a university for a job, once I could get a PhD, I wanted to be a professor, and there were a lot of things that I had to consider. But one thing I thought about was coming back to Asia. So I spent in total about 12 years in the US. And so I spent a lot of time there and learned a lot there. But when it was time for me to get a job, I wanted to be in Asia where I felt a little more connection. Even after 12 years in the US, still felt a bigger connection with Asia than just the US. So, and when I was thinking about coming back to Asia, I mean, there were about three kind of choices that I was considering: either go back to Korea or go to Hong Kong or Singapore, that have more of a Western system. And my priority was actually to have that Asian culture with the Western system. So I thought about either Hong Kong or Singapore. And I thought, Singapore would give me a little better environment for me to pursue my career. So I moved over to Singapore. And in terms of NUS, I mean, of course, I'm biased. I'm a part of NUS community. But I do think it's really a leading university, not just in Asia, but around the world. And I really enjoy working here with a lot of good colleagues. I mean, who also come from similar background as mine. So most of us actually have got our doctoral degree from the US, or some coming from the UK. Okay, but with either Asian heritage or big interest in Asia. So I really like that, and of course, the student quality here is really great. So yeah, yourself included. Yes, so it's been actually a pleasure actually teaching good students at NUS. Yeah, so yeah, my journey at NUS has been really fantastic.
Yeah, to be very honest, this blend of like different people coming here from different countries is giving me a good sense of like perspective from across people. Like different people have different cultures when they grew up. They are sharing their perspective, their approach to solving a problem. This is the best part that I like really like about National University of Singapore. I love
Yes,
this part
yes,
about
totally.
NUS and also about the professors. All the professors, like in the last semester, I had five
Hmm.
professors and five of them were from different countries. So everyone
Okay, and
had
one of them
different.
was me.
Yes, one was you. You're from South Korea, and I had a lot of professors. And your journey, when you shared your thing with us, we were able to relate it very closely because you came from a different country, now teaching here in Singapore. It's been great for us from the learning perspective as you are sharing your wisdom with all of us.
Great to
So,
hear.
no, always good. Now, moving on this follow up question, you shared that in States, there's a lot of like a more westernization. But over here in Singapore and States, when you compare in terms of education, can you sense any difference? Or
Mm, in terms of education system, I would say it's pretty similar. I mean, NUS is adopting more of a US or UK kind of approach to our university system. So in terms of education style, I don't think it's that different. So we also encourage a lot of our students to think about lots of contexts, like different dimensions, different contexts, different perspectives. So uh, that's one thing that I feel I'm proud that we are doing. But I guess it's still different from the universities in the States because we are still rooted in Asia. And most of our students actually still come from Asia. So the discussion that we have, or the dynamic that we have in class will be different. And so, I mean, in a way, one good thing is that, I think the students are more respectful with each other and to me or to the instructors. And so it's a little more cozy environment, a little more family-like, respectful environment. That's something that I really appreciate. But at the same time, sometimes I feel challenges of engaging the students, right? So of course, as much as we care about how we select the students to be more proactive and be able to express their thoughts. Okay, but still in class, a lot of our students are shy to express their views, and so of course, through the course, uh, we try to train our students to think more critically and be more comfortable to express their views. And that's one of actually at least my main goals, okay, for my courses and for my students.
I guess I'm the
But
product of
that's
that.
yeah,
I'm the
yeah.
product of that. You
Did you
helped
do you
me
think that you have actually improved on your proactiveness and being and expressing your ideas?
definitely. There's a lot of
Mm,
improvement. When I first came into NUS, I was very shy. I wasn't able to
mm,
express myself. But
yeah,
this curriculum where there's grading on the basis of like how interactive you are in the class, I guess that's the best thing that's required in any university, especially in business
right.
school. Maybe
Yes.
that's the reason I'm doing a podcast today because now I'm able to open myself up.
Yes,
So
exactly. Yeah,
thank you
you're
so much.
taking even the initiative to actually launch this podcast. So yeah, when I actually heard about this and you raised it to me, I really thought it was great. And because like you said, there might be the transformation that you had, over the course of your study in NUS. Yeah,
Definitely, Professor. That's actually a great gift by NUS to me that I'm now more open to all this kind of projects, now able to think in a different manner, approach problems in a different way. So, yeah.
totally. Yeah.
So, let's move on to the second question. We have discussed about your academic journey. Now, let's hear about how is there any extracurricular activity or hobbies that you do apart from your academia?
Yeah, I'm a big fan of actually having hobbies. Actually, if you want to live a happy life, of course, your career is important, but I think having good hobbies is really important because that way you don't just think about work. Once you get off from work, you focus on your hobbies, and that really enriches your life. So yeah, I'm a big fan of hobbies. In my case, I would say, I mean, there are a few. I mean, I really like to travel. I like to take good photos when I'm traveling. And I also like to run when I go travel. I mean, I like to run in Singapore too, but it's so hot and humid. So so I train myself here, but then when I get to run outside, in a more crispier weather, that really feels great. And I feel like, I'm really enjoying uh, wherever wherever the location is. And also, I'm a big fan of wine. I think I already shared in class, but I actually picked up the interest in wine during COVID. I was bored, at home. So I got into wine. There were a lot of good deals then because many shops were actually struggling to uh, sell wine. So, and then I kept growing on my interest in wine, and I actually got some certificates. So I have a WSET certificate on level 3 certificate that's on wine. Yeah, that's on wine.
How many
And so I even
certifications are
study.
there?
Yeah, there
Like,
is actually, it's not a sommelier kind of a thing, but there's another type. So you really have to know about what kind of grapes are grown in which region, and how the climate actually affect the conditions of the grapes and the taste of the wine, etc. So yeah, I mean, I was even willing to put in some time to study wine. So I mean, but I really liked it, because since it's a hobby, you actually enjoy it even more, and I think it really enriched my life. And so yeah, and I will continue to build on my hobbies.
that's amazing. When you're with your hobby, you're like in a good mindset and you can like approach your work in a better way. That's
Right.
always helpful.
What is your hobby?
My hobbies are made out of just athletics game. So I'm
Mm,
into cricket, I'm into music,
yeah.
and yeah, I love playing guitar. If you know about 70s, 80s rock music, so I'm a big
Okay,
fan
you're
of
not
that.
even born then.
Yeah. So many of my friends don't even know the name of the bands that I listen to. But yeah, I love listening to that music because that was the era where you used to perform live. And that was the real thing without auto tune or anything. And you're performing in front of such a big audience. There was like high stakes, and they used to do it so well, so elegantly.
See,
So
interesting. Have you
yeah.
have you performed live, in public?
Not in front of such a big crowd, but yeah, here in Singapore, I did once busking, just to
Mm,
take it off my bucket list. I wanted to
okay.
sing and like play guitar on the street, so
Oh,
I've done
cool.
that. Yeah,
I
and
see.
it's my
Nice.
dream to perform in every country where I visit. I missed my
Okay.
chance in France, but yeah, maybe next time.
I see. I see. Well, make sure to get permission if the country requires it.
And thank you so much again for the advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll look for that. So this is a very common question that I've felt,
Mm.
and even my friends have felt when they are choosing their career path. Was there any time, particular in your life, where you were very uncertain about your career path?
I mean, I was also uncertain about my career path as well. First, when I graduated from college, I talked about how I wanted to be called, Dr. Shin, so that's why I was pursuing a doctoral degree. I mean, there's a half truth to it, and a half joke, but I was really considering, whether I should pursue PhD, or whether I should join workforce and join consulting company, or the banks, or even go to law school to be a lawyer. And I still think about it. What if I decided to join law school instead of join business school to do a PhD? I mean, still, I think it's really there is a big uncertainty about what I would have actually chosen, because any choice it would have given me, I think, good life. But you still have, I mean, there are a lot of a trade-off still. Okay, so I'm sure a lot of you, when you are deciding on your career, you consider a lot of things, how other people would think about, your future career, or how whether you're going to enjoy the daily life, pursuing the career, whether there are good prospects, nowadays, with the big change with an AI, and a lot of things, there is bigger and bigger uncertainty. So I can imagine that it can be even more struggling for you, compared to when I was actually thinking about my career, back when I was in college. But despite that, I think what's really important is, what you would like to do. I mean, that's one thing. And if you're not entirely sure about what you want to do, think about, multiple things that you potentially want to do. And I would actually think about, okay, what what path will give me multiple options. So I don't think this is a particularly a good advice in a way, but at least, the way I thought about my path back in the days was, okay, how do I expand my options? Okay, so if I do a PhD, would that actually give me better options or wider options later on? So that's kind of how I decided on my career path in a way. I'm not saying this is the best way to decide on your path, but I'm just saying that this is one way to think about your future. So, of course, if you know exactly what you want to do, you know exactly what you are good at, and then then it's good. I mean, then you don't even have to think about this. But then, the fact that you're thinking about this might mean that, okay, one, whatever you are trying to do is, too high of a reach. Okay, or, oh, of course, you cannot be all Elon Musk. And another possibility is that, you don't know what you want to do. Okay, so in such case, I would, I mean, which was actually the case for me. And so I thought about, okay, which will actually give me options later on. So I thought about, okay, if I do a PhD, even if I want to be a consultant, or if I want to join a bank, or even if I want to be a lawyer, it will not be a complete waste. Of course, it may be a little bit of a detour, but I thought it's not going to be a waste. Whatever the skills that I pick up through that PhD education, it's not directly related, but still that critical thinking ability, or being able to handle the data or analyze the data, or your understanding of the institutions, all of these will still help, me get a job, somewhere else other than universities. So I thought, pursuing a PhD, which is costly, in terms of your time and energy, I thought it will still give me options in the future. So I did it, and then, then I had to had I had another decision making point, right? Once I'm done with the PhD, then what do I do? So would I actually join the workforce, or would I want to become a professor? Okay, and then I thought, okay, I want to give it a shot, being a professor. If I don't like it, then okay, I can consider going to join a company. Of course, again, it's not the most efficient way. Okay, but I thought it would be harder for me to come back to academia after leaving than pursuing academia and then going to industry. So, I mean, this was kind of a train of thoughts that I had, as I was making a decision. And I'm just sharing how I made my decision and how this might be also a way for you to make decisions as well. And here, I mean, really, there's no one right answer here. I think whatever works for you. I mean, that's the best way. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just sharing one way of thinking about the future.
Yeah, there's a great saying by Steve Jobs as well, like you cannot connect dots looking forward, but once you are there, you reach your destination, you can connect them all. So maybe
Yeah.
now you can connect your dots.
Okay, I don't think I haven't reached there yet. So I
Yeah.
still am connecting the dots.
That's good. Uh, so now looking for the perspective of like prospective students who are willing to
Mm,
enroll into education, whether in Singapore or in States. Can you give some advice to them? How should they
mm.
approach their universities, which are their top ones? Because National University of Singapore is ranked among the best universities in Asia. So, is there like they should only focus on academia or they should focus on extracurricular activities? What do you think is the best approach as per like as being a managerial director for this course of
Right. Okay. So, I mean, at least for my program or master in management program, we are looking for more of a holistic person, I would say. I'm not saying that grade is not important. Okay, grade is important. It actually shows your capability, your academic capacity, and how diligently you have actually worked. So it also shows your work ethics. So it is definitely an important measure, but we don't just look at that. Okay, there are a lot of us students who score very well, but still may not be able to get into our program because first, they cannot speak their mind or speak their thoughts. Okay, so in our classroom, as Sartak actually has shared or has experienced, we want to create an environment where our students can express their views and share their views and learn from the different perspectives. So if you cannot express your views or thoughts, then there can be limited contribution in class. I mean, yes, we want our students to grow through the experience, but there has to be some foundation, some capabilities that you have to prove. So that's why we actually conduct interviews. So all of our candidates will go through like 15 to 20-minute interviews at least, so that we can have a conversation. Uh, so I actually view this podcast not too different from interview that I have with my candidates, because this is the type of the thing that I want to do. So I want to have a conversation, maybe probably on the opposite side. I'm going to be there asking questions and the candidate is going to answer the questions. Okay, but like really, how their academic journey has been, what they have done outside the outside school, what motivates them, how they think about some of the current events. So a lot of these, we are really trying to have a conversation and see if they can express their views and share their perspectives. And so I think that's something that I would emphasize. Maybe something different from other schools, even.
yeah, when I was getting admitted into NUS. So I also experienced a similar thing where I got an interview from a business, like the people from the BIS career, and they were just having general conversation about my perspective on businesses rather than just going into my academics. So that amused me, and they just wanted to know more about me and how I would approach a business situation, knowing more about, like there was a question about Prime Minister Modi, how is he approaching the businesses in India, how is he backing up Indian businesses.
Mm,
So that was the thing
yeah.
I really liked about the interview.
Yeah, exactly. And there's no right answer here. I mean, everyone has a different perspectives on any issue, right? And all we are trying to have is a conversation around it.
It was great journey of that interview, and I'm thankful that I got through that.
Yes.
So I want to know about, like, I love reading books, reading about people, about their journey, their perspectives, how they approach their things in their life. Can you give me any recommendation on any book that you have read or any books that you like uh, to share with all of us that a person might give a read in the life?
Okay, so towards the end of a course that I teach, I always recommend one book or one article to my students. So there is actually an article. There's a Harvard Business Review article, and there is also a book version of it. It's called "How Will You Measure Your Life" by Professor Clay Christensen. Okay, so this is actually based on what he does in his class so unfortunately he passed away, but when I was actually taking his class back at HBS, so he would actually do this session on how will you measure life as his last class. Okay, so what we do is that, okay, he's going to apply, okay, or we are going to apply all the business theories that we learned throughout the course and apply them into our own life. And so, in a way, I mean, really, like, how are you going to run your business applies to how are you going to run your life. Okay, so that is exactly the idea behind, and I think it really gives a lot of us something to think about. Like, just the very question of how will you measure your life? Are you going to measure your life based on all the income that you have generated or earned, or what kind of a position that you have taken, or how many friends you have actually made, or how many places that you have been. So there can be a lot of different measures that you can measure your life on. And it doesn't have to be just one common measure for everybody. Kind of going back to how everybody is different and everybody has a different perspectives. So I think this book really gives something to think about to those who are thinking about, okay, how I'm going to live my life. What kind of a principle I'm going to have in life, what kind of a life I want to share with my family and friends. So I would highly recommend this book to anyone who is thinking about this very question.
I guess this kind of books also help you to decide on uncertain path that I asked before. When you're
Yeah,
uncertain about
totally.
your career path, and if you read these kind of books, they maybe the Professor Clay would have shared some perspective of his life in this book,
Mm,
which would help you
yes.
out in the future.
Yes, exactly. While listening to, how he has made the decisions. So How Will You Measure Life? The book is about, Professor Christensen's life, and his life choices. And so, just by reading, how somebody actually has made the decisions, you can also reflect on yourself and think about how you're going to make decisions on some principles that you have.
That's Thank you so much for sharing a recommendation of such a great book. I'll definitely
Yeah.
give it a read, and I'll
Yes.
yeah.
You can borrow
uh,
it if you want, I have it in my office.
Perfect, perfect. Then I'll borrow it
Yes.
from you.
Yes.
There's no better deal than that. Now, moving ahead, do you believe any skills or mindsets that a student should have when they're approaching a business, or that's important from the managerial perspective that is required in the future? Is there any skill?
I'm not sure whether it's a skill, but I really hope our students can have a open mind and be okay with ambiguity. So a lot of times we are trained to go for one right answer. I think that's kind of how we have been educated in general, because when you are taking an exam, there was always one right answer and other answers were wrong. But in real life or in professional settings, many times there's no one right answer. And I have actually repeated this phrase, many multiple times, even during this podcast. And that's something that I hope our students can get out of, after 1 year of study, for example, for master's in management at NUS. As we talk about some of the current issues or business challenges through case studies, I mean, we often talk about, okay, we actually listen to a lot of different perspectives. And if you have an open mind, then you're going to actually observe all these different perspectives and shape your own at the end of the class. So I think there's a big learning as you're doing that. So first, of course, you are going to express your own view, but on top of that, you're going to hear about a lot of different perspectives. And then you're going to shape your own updated belief or updated view. Okay, so I do think there is a power to this exercise. And you have to actually realize that many times a lot of things are ambiguous, and everybody thinks a bit differently. So with that open mind and willingness to accept different perspectives, I think you can actually go even further. And and think, something even greater.
That's so well said, and well, like brought together all of the things like willingness and being ambiguous. I guess that's now the motto of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually so beautifully said. I really like the words that you used because it's quite essential in this world to be ambiguous. And all of us at this, yeah,
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
no,
No,
please.
so to understand that things can be, yeah, I think that's the important part. Yeah.
That's always helpful. Uh, I don't really want to end this podcast, but coming on to the last question. What's a life lesson that you come across that you'd like to pass on with our viewers over here and you'd like to share with all of us? That's any advice by your seniors, by your professors, or anything that you would like to share with us.
Mm. I think, I think what I just shared is one lesson that I would like to pass on to all the students that I teach. But probably another thing that I want to emphasize is really have a happy life, which is of course, harder to be done than we said. But uh, going back to our discussion on hobbies, we cannot just think about our career. I mean, of course, it would be great if you enjoy your time with all your career, but it doesn't happen to everybody. But still, you want your life to be happy, and I think having good hobbies and having good friends, I mean, all of these really enrich your life. And so I really, and even with the same circumstance that you're given with, really depending on how you view this, depending on your attitude, I think you can make your life really miserable or really happy and positive. So having that, proactive and positive mindset with a good hobbies and good people around you, I think your life is going to be a lot happier. So yeah, that's one thing that I would like to share. I mean, of course, I'm not that old, so I'm still exploring with my life, and I'm finding new lessons every day. But based on the years that I have lived, I think this is one thing that I want to share extra.
That's great life lesson that you shared with us. So, just a casual question, last one. Can you suggest top three destination where you like to go for running that you've traveled a lot and you might have? So, any three
Well,
destinations?
the three destinations, I would just have to pick one, NUS, why not? Because, our campus is pretty big. So I sometimes do one round of a NUS campus that's about 5K. A bit hilly, but is a quite a good run. Although you're gonna sweat, like, you're gonna shower with your sweats. Okay, but that's okay. It's still fun. Okay, and another, I really like running around the Marina Bay area. I mean, of course, who is going to resist all the beautiful views of Singapore there? Okay, so I really love that. And the last, I would say, and one of the best runs that I had was actually uh, back in Boston. I mean, Boston Marathon is really, really popular. I've never joined it because my record is not that good. Okay, but I actually once ran in a very crispy weather, in the morning when I was actually jet lagged. I was visiting Boston after I graduated from Harvard, and I went back, for a visit. And then I had that, nice 5K run, and that was really beautiful. By the Charles River and some campus. I mean, it's really nice. So, yeah, if anyone has a chance to visit Boston, I would highly recommend.
Thank you so much for sharing all these destinations. I'll definitely go for a
Yes.
run on Marina Bay today in the evening,
Yes.
at least.
Great.
And thank you so much for being here, sharing your perspective with all of us. And thank you for taking out time from your busy schedule. And I'm thankful for you showing up and trusting in me in this podcast. And
No,
thank
no,
you
my
again.
pleasure. I mean, I really hope that, a lot of listeners would gain good perspectives from other podcasts, not just mine, but the following podcasts that will be shared by, I don't know who you're going to invite, but whoever he's going to invite, I'm hoping that it's going to be helpful as you think about your future and your and the present.
Once again, thank you so much, Professor.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for your
Thank you
time.
for inviting me.
Yeah, it was great hosting you as a guest.